guys, what's up? Pixelart Builder 583 here again, and we're joined by Microsoft Sam here for something that's special.
That's right. We are here now to celebrate 10 years of the Microsoft Sam Plays Minecraft series, which has been the flagship series of Pixelart Builder 583's channel ever since July 15th, 2013. But you think we're just gonna wish ourselves a happy 10 years and call it a day? Hell no. We need to do something to celebrate it. What shall we do?
Lucky for you, I have a good idea that can go along with it. We'll go into examining the evolution of the ROFL World when it came to be before Season 7, and the ROFL World during that season.
Is there anything else for that?
With that evolution, we'll go see a few landmarks that came before Season 7, as well as the ones that came during that time. But do be aware that we don't remember the coordinates of all the landmarks, so we'll go by the landmarks that we most definitely visited over the screen time of the series. It'll be done season by season in no particular order.
Sounds like a world tour by me, but I'm all for it. Just so that way everyone gets the memories and reminisce those good memories. Oh, I do say, sometimes during them we're not fun at all. But other than that, let's go fly over to some of those landmarks. We are going to be starting with the old version of the ROFL World, and we are going to make it start with my own house obviously. Yeah, those good old times when me, Mike, Mary, and Emma were having a blast with many of our hobbies and stuff. Oh yeah, and my ROFL robot was there too. It's also a shame that Emma is now in heaven. She cared for us genuinely and deeply, especially despite my earlier influence on her.
I wouldn't worry too much about that still, Sam. Besides, she knows that you never meant to do anything negative in any way, shape, or form. What you were doing there was just jokes, and those jokes died off long before we defeat Lucao, especially Satan and Talus.
Yep, true. Anyway, here we have Scotty and Robert's house, as well as Fire's own house next to it. It used to belong to someone else, but then he moved away and then Fire made it his own.
It feels like a lifetime ever since then, but I'm not gonna say much about it since it was, how shall I say? You know what, never mind that since I don't want to throw shade anywhere. Next up, we have my old castle. Somehow a portion of it got destroyed on my first fight with Lucao during the second war against him on Earth 2.
Wasn't that castle completely destroyed by a missile not long after those two fucked up freaks were defeated during that war?
Yeah, but I wasn't even there to see it because one of them directly sent me to Lucao's castle. I was blinded by complete and utter rage by his presence, and that got me hell-bent on casting him off the face of the Omniverse. I can't exactly say Antiart was innocent either, since he was the mastermind of destroying this old rainbow lighthouse you guys worked so hard on.
Yep, even in death, I will never forgive Antiart for doing that, as well as killing Emma and brainwashing the naturals into doing his bidding. But that's all in the past. Anyway, we got the old Sanduna village, the village where you and I first traded with some villagers. I remember that we were so cheaty with that.
Oh, don't remind me. That was because we were all younger at the time, and I thought that making it all glorified fanciness was the answer. To that I say now, it's not always like that. That's not how it works these days.
Yeah, alright, I'll give you that. We all did learn from many things as we progressed. But here we shall show the next landmark that came around sometime before Season 6 got ultimately climactic. Here we have the Desert Pyramid, where Mike fucked up by springing the trap that was set up by the bottom. Don't get me wrong, he is more logical on different approaches than I ever would be.
Yeah, to be blunt, you've had a big ego along the way. Some people asked you to keep it in check, but you said no. Let alone the fact that you called Mike a lady and Mary a man during that time.
Those were only bad jokes that kept growing drier and drier throughout several repeated uses. But don't worry, we'll come up with more ideas for banter, we just need to innovate in the humor. Don't get me wrong, comedy is a subjective thing.
Yeah, though I do apologize myself for buying into the influence. But anyway, this is that one village where we tried to trade some things from, and also using it as a hideout to counterattack the Naturals when they were under Anti-Art's control.
We passed that one, and we call that one Glistroth. And also here we have this drugstore that Raid Overseer Duncan once owned, before he died. That was one thing that we used only because of the MLG meme, which is way past its prime today. Today in the ROFL World, we made drugs illegal, since scientists can't see what that does to humans, machines, and other life forms alike.
Yeah, don't do drugs, guys. Not only is that illegal throughout some jurisdictions, it can pose a lot of health problems, both mentally and physically.
There are some exceptions with some things that can be regarded as metaphorical drugs, but some of that's not really illegal, so I wouldn't entirely say that. Rather, some shit's just frowned upon. Now anyway, we got the blown up whole crand with animals, where Mike and I once went to breed and kill some animals at. Behind the scenes there, we tried to do something else with it, but it was decided it wasn't good enough, so we had to go with what we did have instead. As of today, that hole is no more, but there is a remnant of that memory that still lies physically, where it is today.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. We tried to do a little something, but I will say a little of what I remember from it. It was originally going to be an RPG scene, but not long after I started doing that, I realized that would take a lot of time, given what I had back then, and this giant hole turned out to be the result.
Yep, so there you have it. So here we are with that one windswept hills biome, which can sometimes be referred to as a mountain. That's where me and Mike met up, when we were done with the animal business that one time.
To be honest, this mountain is a pretty iconic one, given that part of it was filmed throughout Season 1. And a fun fact for that, the Season 7 episode briefly referenced that moment, while also having the mission with that stay in task.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Now then, let's go back to my own old rendition of this house, and then we recollect our thoughts in where to go next. Oh wait, I know now. The OG Stronghold that me, Emily and Scotty went to, when we first defeated the Ender Dragon. This hole right there is where the three of us found a stronghold, when we used Ender Eyes to locate it. I could remember there being flukes associated with survival versus creative, and none of us knew the limits of cheating. Thanks to experience, however, we know when not to use cheats.
Yeah, gotta be honest with you, I was not the best at knowing that either, especially when I was trying to assist everyone in the first Ender Dragon fight. But how much of a choice did I have in that matter, since I knew you were going to run out of arrows anyway?
We live and we learn, that's all I can say at that rate. But anyway, we're flying over to Samco Wincha, which is a splinter homeland of Samco Junction. This is basically going to be shown as a rough version of this, which is basically because there are the old winter bases. And here they are, the winter bases, or, as I can call it, Samco Wincha. Not much was shown here, except for a few episodes and mostly Christmas specials, but we plan to fix that as we go on through time. What do I mean by that exactly? Well, only time will be able to tell, and I'm not time itself, you know.
Indeed. Though I wish we could do something as such right off the bat, but I'm not exactly going to count on it right now. We'll have to wait as further seasons get developed.
Indeed, but at the end of the day, it's entirely up to us and it's our own responsibility to decide. Since, of course, you're the head honcho of this series. But with that aside, we are going to go to one of the landmarks that have been destroyed since the end of Season 2. And this is the Palace of Barlvan Fuzaret, aka Major Wizard. Too bad, when he was close to redeeming himself near the end, he got killed off by Lukao. To be honest, it was so stunning to see Lukao kill off his own father, who claimed to be a master to him but really wasn't. Such pure and unfiltered disrespect Lukao threw there.
I watched everything from the sidelines there, and I have to say, as much as I hated the Fuzaret family in general, I genuinely feel bad for Barlvan. For Lukao and Agralik, however, I cannot say the same.
Lukao and Agralik were evil sons of bitches, that's for sure. They literally gave the Fuzaret family a bad name. But anyway, there is one prominent landmark that we are going to show as of now, and that may take a while to show, so expect a few things or less. This here is Canny Isle. It used to be called Bonstrom Island when the mutant killer rabbits of Kerbanog with assaulting guns rained upon it, but now that we got them extinct, Pixelart and I agreed to call it Canny Isle. I also remember when we had to rescue Mike from there, when he got himself captured by most of them after getting surrounded. That's also when most of the rabbits attacked Sanduna village. Boy, did that rock the ROFL World.
Though I don't want to be reminded about who conspired in that incident at the time, it still pains me to know that some of those guys I call my soldiers would do that. And that angered me more to this day, especially to the point where I was more and more desperate to kill Lukao every second I knew he was alive.
I don't blame you for having a strong hate boner on Lukao, because he was mandatory to kill after all, judging by his actions. But man, neither of you gave it up in the fight, that one is for damn sure. But also, while we were talking about that, we saw the ocean monument that we went to twice. The first time we thought there would be one Elder Guardian to kill, but goddamn, the second journey proved us wrong.
We learn as we go, but anyways, we just approached Lukao's castle. It really pains me to go back there. Though I'm not gonna lie, the architecture was cool. Though first time visiting that was hella the monumental challenge to adapt to.
But don't forget about the castle wall. It really made the place look more threatening, and if that doesn't scream signs of apparent doom from his army, I don't know what does.
I knew what he was capable of all along, since I've known him way longer than all of you have on this planet.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyways, we are traveling to our next destination. This may take a while yet again. and this here is the old and destroyed version of Purper Town. Essentially, some people see it as a hotspot for attack. But then, look at this. Completely destroyed and then barely renovated for something that the RBI tried to do.
I honestly feel bad for Thunder at this point, since he runs this town as a mayor and reports news as a Channel Soy news anchorman. How does he even manage his life effectively with 2 jobs under his belt?
I know, right? That guy must be a persistent substance overseer. And make that 3 jobs, since the 3rd job would essentially be controlling thunder and lightning powers. Still, even I'm baffled by the sheer amount of stress and trouble the guy must be going through to keep the other substance overseers in line.
Honestly though, I don't blame him. Having a lot on one's plate can get them easily overwhelmed. Hell, us being the president and king of the ROFL World, that's an already stressful enough job as is.
Or, as you could have worded it, those are already stressful enough jobs, as is. But I get where you're coming from with that. Anyway, we're just about ready to go on to the next landmark of this rendition of the ROFL World. And we are approaching the NSA of the ROFL World. Compared to the NSA as of now, this one was quite small. I could consider that a secret division and not a headquarters. Then again, we never had as many ideas where the plot would thicken, especially when it's compared to what we do have right now.
I remember when the squad of our friend running it put their lives on the line to protect what really mattered to us, that being the ROFL World. It's a shame that now they're long gone after having fallen to the hands of Lukau and Agrolic.
They got brainwashed by Agrolic, yes, though the feeling is mutual when we were forced to kill that squad ourselves. Which is why we're now transitioning to the landmark that was responsible for that setback in the first place. The RBI, or, as it would be called, the Rogue Bureau Investigation. It heavily advocated for terrorist groups, while the folks behind it were also committing terrorism themselves. Not to mention that Lukau's armies and empires were what Agrolic and his own associates were supporting as well. Like the NSA, this could be considered a secret division and not a headquarters due to its size.
Though when that was being built, there were many factors like the trees and the river to consider. Oh yeah, and those must be the landmarks that came to play. Or is there a few more to check? I forget.
Oh yeah, now I remember we missed a few more. So thanks for the slight reminder. Alrighty then, now next stop, we've got the funeral home. Looking back at this now, I could remember all the blocks that we built, especially to pay the respects of Hannah, when Art killed her. My god, the funeral home looks hideous on hindsight, though that's not intended to disrespect the dead or anything like that, no way. I also remember Raid Overseer Gary dying to some of those awful hacker scum. They were scummier than those others, and of course that doesn't say much to convince ROFL World populace that Lukao was so abhorrent.
Yeah, I could imagine nobody was impressed by his amount of evil. Not even most of his army, since they served him out of fear rather than loyalty.
Sounds about accurate there. Oh, anyways, we've got one more landmark that we must show before we go on to the newer edition of the ROFL World. And there it is. There we got the Jungle Temple, which apparently came a millennium before the ROFL World existed. I remember when Pix and I uncovered that temple, as well as Mike and Scotty. We all got the super crystal there, but then some stupid shit transpired that forced us out of the temple with a few repercussions.
Yeah, that led to me initially firing Scotty from the group, but it was also true that I could not decide whether to keep him or ditch him. I ultimately had to go with keeping him because I don't like firing people despite some of their own flaws. Hell, I rarely believe in firing, though. I only do that on some people who have been objectively bad and make that permanent.
Either way, we have now covered most of the prominent landmarks that were shown throughout seasons 1 through 6. So now without any further ado, Pix, shall I get us over to the other instance of the ROFL World?
Let's do it. Fire it up when ready.
Alrighty then. Yes. The fresher version of the ROFL World, the one that I personally like better. There are also some prominent landmarks that we visited ever since the defeat of Lukao, such as Reverend Jordan's own church, Camp de Gruvia, the newly remastered Purper Town, you name it. Along with that, we also got various revisions of existing landmarks, and they've really improved ever since the old rendition got canned.
I wouldn't say canned, but rather in the thing, it got recreated. The reason I say that is because we were too lazy behind the scenes to fix the damages done, and we had zero backup worlds to maintain it whatsoever. But now, luckily, we have some.
Yeah, I meant to say that before you beat me to it. Anyways, we got Reverend Jordan's church, where some of the people would attend weddings and get some guidance on choosing a path to the good side. It may be interpreted as a religious thing, depending on how others look at it, but the focus is more on what's objective rather than what's subjective.
As someone who's not religious, I do have to say that not even those things from such churches would prepare us for what Satan and Talus brought upon. But that's how I view it personally. Take it as you will, but of course we had to fend for ourselves until the very end. And I hate how Talus tried to sabotage my reputation on that one.
We were all fooled by her treachery, as well as Satan's. But let's put that shit aside for now and focus on what's more important now, the landmarks.
Right. This one here, that's my current castle. When a fresh new ROFL World surfaced, much different terrain generated, and thus this castle takes over for the remains of Barlvin's palace, with its own terrain as well as freedom of any wither bombs.
Not only that, but we have legitimate guards too. Zebular must be doing a great job as your royal guards captain. You can feel free to tell Kalbach the same as well.
I already have. Now let's press on for another landmark that'll lead us to...
Ah yes, canny while again. That means we are close to this place.
Yep, I can feel that myself as well. And there we are, Camp de Gruvia, one of the most authentic vacation spots that we've been to for quite some time. I'm personally not a camping guy myself, but when we gave that one a shot, it was quite the experience. We met Junie only for me to fall in love with her, with me initially denying it. But now, she and I are married, and she now reigns alongside us as the queen of the ROFL World. That begs the question, though, who will take her place as this place's counselor?
I have zero idea on that part. We could take a few wild guesses, but that could lead to absolute bias on our ends, so I'd rather not do that and treat this as a part for the course for when someone gets married and gets another job. Government-wise, too. Right now, I'm gonna take us over to the next landmark. And yes, it's gonna be somewhat fresher and a lot more pleasant than when we had to deal with Lukao in the second war against him. And this here is another village, one which we could call Restokal Memorial. This village is dedicated to celebrating the peace and prosperity we brought upon when defeating Lukao, as well as remembering all the horrible events he unleashed upon the savannah. With more buildings coming up, let alone inventions and work environments, we are making sure no bad beings like him ever get their hands on this savannah again. Win-win. And here we are, the remastered version of Purpur Town. This town has gotten a lot bigger, with a few more claimed villages, as well as more community activities people could do upon their leisure. Oh, and did we mention that it has a city hall, as well as a remastered version of the channel's Swan News facility, plus an outskirts.
Not only that, but it has a lot more, like even a helipad, and even beacon stations? Since when was that there?
It must have been there since the defeat of Satan and Tullus. Thunder must have done a good job on making a rebuild of the towns ever since then. And that time, all of the Substance Overseers were involved as teammates. That is genuinely what I like about Fire's character. It's a good thing he redeemed himself when people said he couldn't.
Honestly though, he still shows at least a considerable amount of cynicism, but I'm proud of him regardless. Man, we were very much too harsh on the guy, weren't we? But anyway, here we pass Chorus Gardens, aka the outskirts of Purpur Town. Guess people could call that the source of it. Get it?
What? Oh, right. Because chorus fruit, when smelted into pot, chorus fruit gives you the ability to make purple blocks. Now anyways, time to go onward to the next landmark. And there's the new NSA. Wow, just wow. This building's huge, a massive improvement structurally, especially when compared to the last building of it. This is absolutely worth calling a headquarters at this point. On top of that, we have a considerable amount of plans for that in the future. It was originally thought to be a government of its own, but the reality is that it's a government agency, not a standalone government of its own. Though that doesn't mean we are the leaders of that agency. Hell no.
Government boards and government agencies are two different businesses with two different chains of command, so of course it would make sense that we wouldn't meddle in the affairs of one job when we're in another.
Oh yeah, like we would ever interfere. Now then, let's go back to more stuff for sightseeing. And here we have some of the minecart tracks. One good way to transport from one place to another when we're in the need to go somewhere. That, plus I could take Gardash, but he's slower than he was back in the day. There are quite a few faster ways for transport, such as the Elytron plus fireworks combo we're using right now. That's quite a nifty means of transport in both this realm and the end. And there's the Rainbow Road. It looks like the Rainbow Road from the Mario Kart series, though the reality is that we built it like that to make it resemble peace, harmony, inclusion, and other harmonic things in the mix. That's also why Pixelart rebuilt the Rainbow Lighthouse to begin with.
And to my surprise, you guys have done a great job at that, though I made a few revisions to make it even more of a welcoming sign.
Well, it's like what some people say, teamwork makes the dream work. But do some others really believe that?
Some others may not, but you know what? If they choose to believe that division is a good solution to many problems despite that not being the case, that's on them. Because even if I hate some stuff myself, I don't let that detract from my character, because I tend to have the want to resort to petty means myself, but I ultimately don't have that in me. That goes against my values, you know?
You and me both, Pix. But anyways, we've passed David, Hazel and Zira's house, and now we're gonna go for one last landmark, before we conclude the world tour. This here is also the revised version of Samco Wincha. This has been there since before we first encountered Satan, when we were examining the chunk abnormality that stood in our way back then. More importantly, this has a dedicated Christmas party building, where we went to since 2017 after opening up gifts.
Gotta hand it to you though, there's more where that came from in the future.
Yes, indeed. So anyways, now that we visited most of the prominent landmarks of the ROFL World, evolving through Microsoft Sam Plays Minecraft Seasons 1 through 7, it is about time we conclude this world tour off right here. If you believe we missed a landmark and we remember the coordinates of it, please post in the comments below and we'll provide some of the lore of it in the community posts. But other than that, we hope to continue going forward in the future with more seasons, more ideas to write on paper, and even more chances for great change. Until then, stay tuned for more videos like this one and subscribe for more in the future. On behalf of Pixelart Builder 583 Productions, this is Microsoft Sam, signing off.